Don't overthink it. Just get started and work with it. I'm not going to let my errors win, however. I am going to push through. I was really pleased with it, and I spoke too soon. I even put it on Facebook. And hi, welcome back to Dawn at the Lake, Lakeside Quilt Making Arts. It is more of a vlog style channel. I am not an expert in anything. I am in the middle of trudging through all the depths of the waters to figure out all the creativity, all the arts involved in the quilt making arts. And I ask you to come into this with me. And I've promised that since I'm a newbie and I'm trying to inspire other newbies, that I will be vulnerable and I will show my mistakes. I'm going to stop here and let you watch the koi fish fins as I start working on it. Some of you are going to know where my error is. Some of you may not know until after I tell you. And that's because it took me a little bit of time, too, to figure out what I was doing wrong. I'm not going to let my errors win, however. I am going to push through. We'll talk about that in just a minute. You guys go ahead and watch that clip and then come back here and meet me here upstairs in the future LongArm studio. So I want to get a game plan together. And I'm using this transparent fabric here, which is nothing more than a dryer sheet. And it's roughly cut in the shape of what the fins will be. So I want to kind of get a feel for my placement, if I want any of it to start on top of the body of the fish, or if I want it to appear to be coming out from underneath the body of it. I want to look at those kind of things really quickly. What's my angle? And then I am going to kind of do a rough sketch. And then I'm going to thread paint my fin. And I'm going to do that thread painting with white. I think once I get to the point of doing my machine quilting for the background, and I'm going to probably do that with black thread, and I go over the fin, it'll look like that fin is underneath the water. That's kind of the game plan at the moment. I got to think about if any of my quilting goes on top of the fish. I don't know yet. I haven't decided. I know I want to zip through this guy and get him done so I can do the black and white one using this fabric, which I ended up using a fair amount of that piece that I had, that fat quarter that I had in my Ricky Tim's Locomotion quilt that I think I'm calling So Pelly. You'll see it's there, and I'm missing some of the pieces off the board right over there because those are over at the sewing machine. But a lot of that black and white was used. Those are the pieces that are missing from what's on the design wall. The name So Pelly came from a recommendation from Quilt Squirrel Jody, and I think it's rather clever. I really do like that a lot. I really wanted to try to stick with my original thought of this being an embrace of Earth, but I couldn't step away from the fact So Pelly was a really cool name. So Pelly it is. And So Pelly took up a lot of my black and white fabric. Before we get any further in this video, I want to take a second to say thank you to everybody who has been liking, subscribing, commenting, and sharing. It's a huge help to me and to this channel. I'm somebody who's trying to make a living in the world of content creation. I hope I'm providing a pathway for somebody else who's new to feel like they too can step into the deep end of the pool and come on into this community of quilt makers. I think we are all just so special, and I feel blessed to be in this arena, and I appreciate you coming along and help to bring my dreams to fruition. And as you do that, I promise, as you're contributing more to me by giving me your time and your effort and your energy and your thoughts, I'm going to be bringing more to the channel. As you all know, there's going to be a LongArm coming into the picture. I was going right over here. That does not mean that I'm abandoning what we're doing. It's meant to enhance what we're doing. This is just part of the learning curve, part of my learning journey, part of my quilt making journey. And there are going to be others out there who have an interest in that, and I'll be sharing that as well. So I just want to say thank you for all of you who are contributing to this channel. I see you, I appreciate you, and I do not take it lightly. I take this channel seriously. I will continue to up my game at every opportunity so I can bring higher quality videos to you and higher quality content. Let's get back to our giveaway. We're going to give this away. I told you in the last video that we were going to do another sticker. I think I only had 2 or 3 people who wanted those stickers. And I think it's just because I just don't have enough people commenting right now. So everybody who commented sticker me will be getting a sticker. So if you're one of those people, send me an email if I don't already have your email address, lakesidecuma@gmail.com. Send me an email so I can then get from you your mailing address. And then I'll send that sticker to you. But this is what's next. We're going to be giving this hat away. And I told you I was not a hat person, but this hat is making me rethink it. I like it. It fits me well. I just thought it was terribly cute when I saw it on the store. If you want this hat, just say hats off inside the comment section and we'll do the same thing. In the next video, I will say who's won. I'll ask you to contact me by email so I can get your address and send it to you. Sometimes trolls get involved in things like this and they like to contact the people who are commenting. If you see anybody responding to your comment, it's not going to be me. I'm not going to do that. I'm only going to respond through a video. In the next video, I'm going to give your name and I'm going to ask you to send me your email address. That's it. Sometimes there are people out there who do bad things and ask for money and all kinds of stuff, and they try to act like they are the person, the host of the channel. But I promise you, I would never do that. So if you find any of that happening, don't let it get you. Okay, so I love the hat. Love it lots. And in fact, I may just keep this one, and whenever I get your address, I may send you one from the store because I'm really enjoying this one. It fits me well. I just never have had a hat on that I have enjoyed, and this, I think this one might just work. And of course, it doesn't hurt that it says something that I like. It says, a member of the Worldwide Running Stitches Club. This is what it says. Whoever gets this, I'll send you a sticker as well. In the next video, not only will we be saying who won, but we're also going to be doing a giveaway for the apron. Again, this is just my way of saying thank you to all of you. I really appreciate you. It's Christmas time and I want to give some gifts away. Wish I could give every one of you something. Let's get back to the video.
I've shortened the length of this, had decreased the length of this front section. I think that's going to be a better proportion for this particular size fish. I think that looks much better. So if I am going to do that as my kind of my outline, what I'm seeing on Google is you get a lot of definition, saturation of the fin color, kind of like this is a rib, if you will. Like you get a lot going on in here. And then it kind of spans out from there. And it's in, you can barely see this. So what I'm going to concentrate on doing is putting a lot of white thread in here. And it's going to come down this direction, but it's going to be more densely sewn in this section here. So let's give that a go, and then we'll come back and see what we want to do. First things first, we change out our foot and change our thread. I'm going to use white, and right now I have a dark gray in there. I was using that on the Locomotive So Pelly. I needed to change out my foot anyway for the Locomotive quilt. One of the key things about making a quilt like the Locomotive quilt not be a stressor is to be able to see where you're sewing, is being able to get your seam allowances just right. And there's some forgiveness incorporated in that technique. Oh my gosh. If I ever buy a different sewing machine, I'll get one that doesn't require fine hand movement inside a tiny space like this. The bulk of this is so big and so far out from where the needle is that as you're pinching, your knuckles run into that and it keeps you from getting a good position on it. That's the only thing I don't like about this sewing machine.
Same thing about how it protrudes in the front. You can't just, you really have to put your head in an awkward position to be able to see what's going on that far underneath there, because this part protrudes out so far away from the needle. I don't like that. I think Jukies don't do that at all. So maybe that's something I have to consider in the future. I do love this machine. It's been a tremendous blessing. My friend loaned it to me, and I have enjoyed it. Hope to continue to enjoy it. But if I ever find myself in a position where I can buy another one for just some standard operations, probably be the Juki, because if I remember correctly, the housing of them is so much more sleek. A different machine might make sense. Okay, so we've got the needle on, we've got thread in it, and I've got the, oops, I picked up some threads. And I've got everything pinned down. And of course I have the batting already attached to the background. So we should just be able to go for it now. I might need my gloves. Shouldn't need gloves for something so small as this. The problem I'm having is that it's thicker right, it's thicker, of course, right where the koi fish is, and I need it to slide evenly over this background area as I do there. So don't know if I'm getting my pressure foot too high up. We'll see. And kind of practice my motto now of just don't overthink it, just get started and work with it. Let's see what we've got. See if we like it. I don't hate it. I can tell I've got tension issues. Like I can see the size of my needle holes. I can see my needle holes. I probably should be using a thinner. Maybe I should be using a thinner needle because I can see the width of my needle through the holes that were made. It's not bad. I think I need to kind of sketch out the tail feathers back here and do those. I'm just going to call it good. I've got lots to learn about this machine. But of course, the machine that's going to take priority is going to be the quilting machine. Kind of feel like I need to put some more definition right up here against the body and along this area here. Why don't I do that really quickly? Oh, my feed dogs are in place. That probably had something to do. Okay, draw out my tail feathers, be right back. One thing I want to point out is how it's gathering out here, which I've experienced that before, right, with the unicorn quilt. So I don't know how to prevent that. Like if I do a stay stitch, should I go ahead and do a stay stitch all the way around to prevent that? Is that what makes the difference? I think I'll do a stay stitch and all the way around and see what happens. Wonder if it makes a difference if I can use my free motion foot to do a stay stitch. We'll see. Trying to get it really close to where it's fraying because I know I'm going to include all of that inside the binding. Oops. You know what? It works out much better when you don't pop your thread. Sewing is much easier when you've got thread and your needle. All right, looking at more pictures. I think I want my tail to be going this way so that overall I have a lot of curve going on. Let's see. I don't think I can do that. I think in order for all of my tail to be going that way, I would have to be seeing the ridge of the fish body, and I'm not. I'm seeing the side. So I need to look at pictures. Okay, so if we have tail feather, I don't want to do that. I'm going to be cutting off some of this tail feather because I don't have a lot of room. But I kind of like, so it doesn't arc, and they kind of fill out. It's going to do the same thing. It's going to go in this direction. It's going to be more saturated in color along this arc. Same here. The general direction is going to be like that.
I think that'll be good. Ignoring that one right there. Don't like it. Okay, I'm going to do that. See what we get. Not loving how that looks like there's a stark difference, you know, between there and there. It's going to be more profound here because it's going to be white against the yellow. I guess I could make the tail fin in a different color. Do they do that? Let's see what they do. I bet they do. These darn guys do just about anything they want to do. Yeah, I'm going to make this yellow. Yellow with a little bit of white in it. So I'm going to start with the white and layer the yellow on top. And that's how it's going to look like. It's not just stuck onto the fabric. If we take some of these colors into the fin. Putting my gloves back on just because it gives me more grip and I don't have that distraction while I'm trying to think about what I'm doing here artistically. Starting up right up against the fabric, I'm going to swoop out this way with motions, arcing motions. I'm going to take a look at it before we add the yellow. This might be enough white. Yeah, I think I should switch over to a yellow. I hope I have a mustardy yellow. Kind of wonder if I shouldn't put some depth into it and use some a little bit of brown too. We'll see. Let's start with the yellow. I have this, which is not truly a yellow, but I think it'll be fine. It kind of reads like it's a blend between, you know, that brown and a mustardy yellow. This might actually be a peach. I'm not quite sure. But this is a much finer, this is a 100 weight thread. So that's going to stitch out differently. Okay, I feel better about this. I found that I do have some other threads that might work better. This is actually a, what does this say it is? So this is a 50 weight. That'll go in the machine quite nicely. And that's a good color for what we've got going here. So I'm not even going to look at these others. Great. I'm going to set these aside. This is a variegated thread. Got a lot of saturation at some lengths of it, like what I've got here in my hands. So that's going to make it interesting on our fins. It really is nice to not have to worry about your grip while you're thinking about your piece that you're working, while you're thinking about the piece that you're working on. So I do recommend them. You know, it seems like an overkill, right? Because this is so tiny, but it really is helping. So what I've got to figure out, if any of you know, I need help on this. I've got a lot of puckering. Now, hopefully when I quilt this background, maybe I should quilt it and then, maybe that's what I should have done, is quilted first and then did the threads painting. So all this would stay down. That's an idea. Too late now, but that's a good idea for later. Thread paint on top of a quilted surface. I like it. I like the variegation. I just need to elongate the feathers. It just looks like it's got a bowl cut. We don't want a bowl cut on our fins. I should have stopped probably and stitched that down because it did get more puckered. The puckering, and because the puckering really increased in this last bit of effort. Oh, I'm so discouraged by that. Well, I am learning. That's what this whole channel is about, is learning. And I don't want to just book learn. I want to learn while doing stuff. And so this is the consequence of doing that, unfortunately. Okay, I'm just going to like carry this on this way a little bit so it's not just so too straight across. This won't take long, I don't think. I'm going to come back over here and swoop out this way a little bit too. Okay, we have us some tail feathers. Let's see what else we're supposed to add to this fish. He's supposed to have a dorsal, and we should be able to see one of these fins over here. And then he should have two fins back here. Let's see what those look like. The more I think about it, the more I really need to go ahead and quilt the back of this thing, the background. And I think this is actually a blue, but I want to see what it looks like on there because it might look good that it's a deep, deep navy. Yeah, you really can't discern that that's not black. Even putting it on the black, I can't really discern that it's not black. So I'm going to go ahead and put my backing on, and I'm just going to do some pre-motion quilting on the back of this to try to keep it from bunching up as I do these other fins. I probably should have used some kind of stabilizer. This is, just an area that I don't have any expertise. I've never had any classes in it or any experience. So I probably just need to go ahead and just practice with fusibles, do a deep dive into fusibles. I'm going to add that to my list for 2025. Well, clearly the fact that I am a newbie is really glaringly obvious on this mug rug. I don't like what's happening here, but as per usual, I'm pushing through because I will even learn more by pushing through. So what I don't like is the amount of puckering I've gotten here. There's just, that's not going to be something that is going to be conducive to setting a glass down right. It's going to make the glass not sit nice and flat. So I can come in here and I can stitch the heck out of that, which would make that area not similar to the rest of the quilting. My quilting leaves a lot to be desired. I cannot get a consistent stitch. I have found that I do better at making fluid lines if the faster the machine is going up and down. And you can see right here, I've got a very long, like a half an inch stitch. Don't know why. I guess it just didn't catch on the back. So there's some tension issues there. I just need to experiment and do more. And that's why these mug rugs are great, because I encounter a lot of problems and learn them on small projects. So what I'm going to do next, like I said, I'm pushing through, even though I don't like a lot of what I'm seeing. I did decide on
a mottled orange on the back, like a goldfish orange. But what I think I need to do is I need to go in here now and put my scales in, put my eyes on, and my little mustache, and put my scales on before I come in to do my other fins. You know, get this quilted down and all of the fabrics gathered around these important elements before we do any more heavy thread painting, thread sketching. So the question, of course, is going to be, how do I want to do my scales and what color? Do I do an off-white or a gray? Gray is going to probably look gray on this. Again, this is the really lightweight, but if I have anything in a heavier weight that's around this color, it's nice to know that it would work. I think this color would be great to make my scales. And I think what I'll do is I'll just go, make scallops. Probably overlap the scallops. I think. I don't know what else to do. Like, how big, then what scale are my scallops? Are they going to be tiny? I don't know. Probably should. They probably need to be proportional to the size of the fish and not to the size of the mug rug. Yeah. That could take a little while. Scallop, 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 scallop. That means it's going to be thickly quilted here, which is probably not a bad thing. This might not be a mug rug, or if it is, anything that could easily spill doesn't need to be set down over here. This is just an experiment. I wish it was coming out better since it's something I've already told my son I was doing for him. So frustrating. Let me need to pull on that and put a quilting lines in there so that does flatten out. So frustrating. So don't be shy. I need y'all who know to tell me how you would handle this differently. Should I have quilted the entire background? Should I have used some kind of stabilizer? Probably so. And it probably should have been a fusible stabilizer. But what would have kept that from getting bunched up too? Because this is just a lot of quilting, just a lot of stitching. First thing I can do to improve things in the future is remember that this is what happens when I do thread sketching, because it happened on the unicorn quilt. Need to identify where my eyeballs go, and while I have the black thread in, do my eyeballs. And then I'll come in and do my scales and my little mustache. Okay, so you see where the eye is supposed to be and the beginning of the fin is supposed to be further apart. I should have referenced this when I got started, because what I ended up doing is I put my fin right up there where the eyeball is. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of move the eyeball forward. This is where it's supposed to go. And then move this one forward to kind of balance it a little bit. I'll thread sketch in right here to make this look like it's the mouth. Not quite sure how to handle that yet. And then I'll put the mustache in. But first, I think I need my lunch break. I'm kind of frustrated with myself and frustrated with the project. I thought it was going to be a lot simpler and look a lot better for my son. And I don't want him to walk away feeling like his mother can't, do a simple thing as this, Although, like we discussed before, he is not the quilt police. It's coming together. It's just, it's aesthetically, it's got some of the right elements that we need, but it's just, as far as technical skills, if this was the Olympics, I'd be getting a 0 on some of this. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get this to square up. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Who says it has to be have right angles? Who knows? We'll deal with this in a minute. It's a lunch break time. So do you see what I mean? I should have known, because I had made the mistake once before with the unicorn quilt. With the unicorn quilt, I had the same error. I had ruffling because all of my stitching kind of pulled the fabric in and then it gathers up the fabric. I should have known that that was going to happen as soon as I said the words thread sketching on the machine. I should have known it. I should have said, oh, Dawn, you've experienced this before. Clearly, I was just, had blinders on and I wanted to finish it. And I saw it. I saw the finished product in my head and I thought I could get from A to B. I don't think that just doing a stabilizer would have been enough, because the stabilizer would have been pulled in too. So I think what I needed was to put it in a hoop. I need some kind of hoop that would go underneath my machine. So I need to experiment with that, but especially before I go to the next fin. I was very frustrated. It was something simple. I thought I was going to put together this little mug rug and give it to my son, and it's turned into a multi-step process, which I'm fine with. I want to learn and I want to do those stages, and it's great to work on a little mug rug, right? It's about that size, and that's a lot bigger than most mug rugs. It's kind of a small placemat, if you will. Those kind of projects are great, really. If I'm going to screw up on something and then contemplate whether or not this just becomes a UFO or a whip that becomes a UFO, then I'd rather it be something like that. But I'm not going to let it become a UFO, an unfinished object. This is going to be finished. I've been contemplating about how I can handle that. Sometimes you just need to walk away and think about it. What I did is I just came upstairs so I could put together, let me show you. These are some of the shelves that I bought for that space. They're, I think, 12 inches deep. Ignore the blue tape. I've got a hole in the wall. When the last person moved out, they put a hole in the wall, and I just haven't had it fixed. There was no need to prioritize this room. I would love it if I could paint before I put the LongArm up here, but except for that one spot, the paint is fine and it's not bad. I just wish it was brighter. I might get to that at some point, but right now I had to prioritize, and that is not on the priority list. Even my sanity is on the priority list. So back to the shelf. I came upstairs and said, I'm just going to at least do something. It's just one of those days where every time I touched something was going wrong. I thought, okay, how can anything go wrong if I come up here and work on creating the storage in this space? So I put that one together and I was so disappointed in it. The little black bolts are plastic. The whole thing was sold, it was advertised on Amazon as being heavy duty. Let me tell you, it's rickety, like, especially because it's on carpet. I think if it was on a wood floor, it would be much more stable. I definitely would have, if I was going to have children around this, I would definitely have this screwed into the wall. And I'm kind of concerned about this because this one corner is the play area. I don't expect to have a child up here where they're not supervised, especially a smaller child. So I will have to either secure that, or I'm going to take off the top part and just set it side by side. But what happened is I went to Walmart to place my order this morning for groceries, and they happened to show me a cabinet, and it was like $250 off. So I ordered 2 of those, and I'm going to send back the other shelves that I have. I had bought 4 of these shelves that you see here, so I can just line this back wall, because I want all the storage on that back wall, but I just don't want it to be very deep. So whenever I first saw the ad on Walmart, I almost ignored it because I figured it would be too expensive, but then I saw the price was heavily discounted. And I looked it up and it looks like it was fine. It's not terribly deep. So I ordered 2 of those, and those will come in sometime. So I won't be able to get my organization done the way I want. I decided to put my design wall on this wall, and from window to window, it overlaps a little bit. That's not a big deal. I can get over that. I thought it might work to just put it in this one corner right here, but it was too wide unless I pulled it way out. So I decided to keep my easel there. So I have a couple of boxes behind here that I think are going to have to stay in this room because they're my Christmas boxes. So I don't mind that this is pulled out from that corner. It's creating a visual block to some storage. This house doesn't have an attic at all. It's a flat roof house. I forget what it's called, but it's a French style architecture. So there's no place to put something like my Christmas stuff unless I put it in the garage. But my garage is actually, I like to keep it super clean and neat, and I've got problems with spiders here at the lake. So I prefer things to not have spiders on them and dust and dirt whenever I go to get them. So I try to keep things like that out of the garage anyway, and just keep tools and stuff like that in the garage. So that even though this is taking up a little bit of bulk here than what it could if I pushed it all the way back, I'm okay with it because it's hiding my Christmas stuff. So it worked out fine. I actually like the fact I now have an 8-foot wall, 8-foot wide wall, and 6-foot tall. I could go a little bit higher. I have the pieces that I cut off of this to fit it in the car. I could cut them even further and put them on top of there. But I'm okay with it as it is. I'm sure there's going to be a time when I get a quilt that is going to be more than 72 inches tall. In the short term, I could just lift these up, put them on a box or something so that I could get a little bit of height so that I could then pin parts of the quilt to the very bottom and have a good foot or so that it would hang off the bottom. So that could give me a little bit of space, but I'm fine with this. This is 8 foot wide and 6 foot tall. I plan to also put a design board here, another one here, because, I always have multiple projects that I'm working on. So when I came up here and I was working on the shelves and I realized I didn't like them, I didn't like the fact that the bolts were plastic, it feels rickety. I decided to return them. I did start the process with Amazon. They accepted the return, but I think I'm going to keep the one and just return the other 3 and then replace what they were going to do with the 2 units that are coming from Walmart. So it was double frustrating, right? My koi fins weren't working out just right. It caused a lot of puckering. My shelving unit wasn't what I wanted. So I thought, should I work on my Locomotion quilt for Ricky Tim's? Because I was kind of behind. But no, I think I need a clear head. So I waited till the next day and I started to work on my homework. And I'm really glad that I did. But I encountered a problem there. I was really pleased with it, and I spoke too soon. I even put it on Facebook and Instagram and a community post on this channel. And right after that, I had an alignment issue that I still haven't sorted out. And I could fix it. Like, I know that I could just cut off the very bottom and I would be fine. I've got like 2 or 3 different seams to finish up, but my bottom sections are not lining up properly. And I could just cut it off, be done. But I don't want to do that. I want to figure out what I did wrong. Ricky Tim's method is so fail-proof. It really is. That if you do X, you should get Y. And you do A, you should get B. It's just that clear cut. So I must have been asleep at the wheel, asleep at the sewing machine or something along those lines. I'm not sure. But I sent an email to him for him to help weigh in on it to see if he could see what I did wrong. We'll see. So I had another frustration there. So I'm going to come back up here and work on something and be productive up here. Because sometime this next week is when I meet up with Sherry, exchange money, and get the LongArm. And I want this place whipped into shape a lot better than it is. I won't be done because when my cabinets come in and I have to then build them and then put stuff in them and organize them. One thing at a time, I'll get from A to B to C to D. I appreciate all you guys who are hanging in there with me for this journey. It is typical, right? I've got frustrations and I've got excitement. The 2 things balance. That is life. I just want you guys to all see that too, so that as you're going through your processes, it's not always as super simple and easy as a simple YouTube video can make it look. Nothing ever is. What I'm going to do now is work on my other table, my hydraulic lift table. I'm going to get both of those set up so that I will have a large work table in here so that whenever I get the cabinets, I can have a table for constructing them on. If you want to be here for the rest of the journey, please hit subscribe and please leave me a comment if you have any tips on any of the problems that I'm dealing with. I appreciate you. I truly value the partnership that we're building. See you soon. Hope all is going well in your world. Bye-bye.